day. We believe that every time you open your mouth, you should say freedom. Uhuru, welcome to this beautiful, beautiful place that we call Aquaba Hall, which means welcome. My name is Jason Westbrook, and I am part of the African People's Socialist Party, but in PETA, which is stand for International People Democratic Uhuru Movement. Uhuru. The International People Democratic Uhuru Movement is a mass organization founded in 1991 by the African People's Socialist Party as a part of the strategy to bring African working class people into political life. The Sunday mass meetings that we are having here is part of the process of having local African people come together to discuss issues that are critical to the Black people around the world and in the communities that we're living in. In addition, it is an opportunity to join a people, get organized, and do revolutionary work. Our community rallies are held every Sundays from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. And you can also view them on the Burning Spear News YouTube channel and Facebook. Please make sure you share, like, and while online, please let us know where you're viewing from. Uhuru, Uhuru. Israel too. Africa. Uhuru. Today's rally theme is defending the human and civil rights of the African community. African people have the right to economic and political self-determination. We will highlight the Black Power blueprint that is responsible for this beautiful hall and various other projects that you will see here on the north side, St. Louis. First, we ask you to stand and join us singing the African Nation Fight song, and you will find it here on the screen before you. Following that, we will have a brief political education, and you will find the program at the back of the room if you haven't yet already have it. Uhuru.
Africa, we are winning. Shout Uhuru, fight and live for free Africa. We are winning. Long live the liberation of our African nation. Freedom through organization. Socialist world, our creation. 1 billion strong, yes, we are one. We are winning. Patrice Lumumba's life won't be in vain. We are winning. Keep up the work in Marcus Garvey's name. We are winning. Independent and free is what we will be. We are winning. Africa will bask in our victory. We are winning. Long live the liberation of our African nation. Freedom through organization. Socialist world, our creation. 1 billion strong, yes, we are one. We are winning.
Uhuru! Uhuru! Fist up! Fist up! Uhuru! Uhuru! Now we want to go into our political education. This week we will be dealing with point 2 out of the 14-point platform of the African People's Socialist Party. And this is what we want and what we believe. Uhuru, the working platform of the African People's Socialist Party was adopted September 23rd, 1979, and revised and adopted at the first Congress of the African People's Socialist Party, September 6, 1981. Uhuru. And it states, we want the right to economic development and a creative and productive employment which promotes the needs and well-being of our entire people. Yes. We believe that colonialism is a blood-sucking system which caused all economic development to benefit the colonialist ruling class, state, and society at the expense of the colonized people. We also believe that the massive habitual unemployment and underemployment of the people benefit the U.S. colonial ruling class and capitalistic system, and that the struggle by African people for jobs must be combined with the struggle for socialism and independent economic development. Uhuru. Before we go into discussion and before we break that down, I want to first of all salute once again our leadership, Chairman Mali Teller, and I want to give him a chance to expound deeper on this. Uhuru. Uhuru. Uhuru.
Uhuru, thank you very much, Comrade Westbrook, and everyone who's come out to this meeting on today. This point number 2 is a really fundamental issue. We just get born into life, and with the assumption that it's always been like this. Most of us don't give consideration to the whole question of economic development. If we're lucky, we got a job. If we're unlucky, sometimes we make our own job, sometimes legally and sometimes illegally. But the fact of the matter is that economic development is critical to the survival and development of any society. All societies are founded on a mode of production, how that society secures what it needs to produce food, clothing, and shelter for itself. All society. There's no society in the world that's not based on that. It is based on what we would characterize as, again, a mode of production, an economic base. Every society has an economic base. And responding to that reality is what we refer to as a superstructure. A superstructure of ideas, the ideology that comes along with an economic base. It's born from that economic base. And then it reinforces that economic base. That's why you will never see and never heard of a society that was based on slavery, where ideas in that society propounded freedom, especially especially of those who are not free. If the economic base of the society is freedom, if it's slavery, if the society feeds and clothes and houses itself off enslaving people, then you will not hear anything in that society about freedom. An economic base produces, as I said, a superstructure, the superstructure of the ideas, the philosophy, the ideology of that society. But it's also the system, the legal system, the court system, and things like that. That's why you would hear, for example, when I was growing up, I used to hear all the time that things like possession is 99% of ownership. Anybody ever hear that before? Now, what the hell is that? It doesn't matter how you got it, right? If you got it, it's 99% of ownership. Who would have to make a law like that? Except somebody who got it from somebody or got it from someplace, and that has to be enough to say that I own it because I got it. In fact, I remember hearing a quote by Theodore Roosevelt, the guy for whom they made the teddy bear, the guy who was responsible for the invasion of Cuba, for the so-called Mexican-American War, the guy who was responsible for the capture of the Philippines by the American government, etc. He once said that it's ours. Talked about the Panama Canal. He said, we stole it fair and square. And this is sort of like the philosophy that comes from a social system that's based on slavery, based on colonialism, etc. So this process of producing and reproducing life, this is the fundamental driving force in every human society. I don't care what Bible you read, I don't care what church you went to, etc. The real driving force in human society is the process of producing and reproducing life. Because if you ain't got life, you ain't got no religion. You ain't got nothing, no culture, nothing. The production of life. And when we say production of life, we're talking about that process of feeding, clothing, and house ourselves that gets more efficient. If we are not disrupted, it gets more efficient on a regular basis. And so that's why the significance of point number 2 that we're talking about this platform. Economic development. We have to have economic development. Our problem is that not that we don't engage in economic development, because we do. Here, Africa, but we're starving and poor. All over the world, you look at Black people, we're starving. We have nothing, or we have nothing that benefits our existence. It's not because we are not engaged in production of life. It's because we are not engaged in the production of life for ourselves. And that's what colonialism is. It takes possession of your capacity to produce life. It's no longer yours. It belongs to the colonizer, which is why we have a situation like Sierra Leone. The average lifespan of a Black person is 47 years old. 47 in Sierra Leone. Some of the richest diamonds in the world come from Sierra Leone. You have a situation where in this country, the average lifespan of Africans, something like 6 or 7 years less than white people in this country. All of this defies everything we know to be true about the African people physically, physiologically. All you got to do is watch any Olympic game and you see that we are not supposed to be dying like that before white people die. But that's the difference. That's colonialism. Colonialism sucks the resources for itself. You look at the Delmar divide here. When people are south of Delmar, they open their refrigerator, they're looking at the food that's not in the refrigerator of an African person who's living north of Delmar. Do we produce it? They eat it. This is the reality that we're confronted with. So that's why point number 2 is extremely important. We need to understand that. And I was rather surprised by being asked to come and expound on it. I did not anticipate that. But Reverend Westbrook, you never can tell. So I'm just glad to see everybody here. Thank you so much for coming out, and let's talk. Let's deal with the rest of this meeting. Uhuru. If we say that a superstructure based on slavery will not produce freedom, the other thing we can say is that a society, in a society based on slavery, freedom is illegal. Freedom is illegal. The colonizer takes control and makes the law, All the law that we live under is made by colonizers. They make the law. It is the law. Make no mistake about it. But it's colonial law. The colonizer makes the law, but colonialism, the system that deprives us of our capacity to produce life for ourselves, is illegitimate. There's a difference in what's legal and what's legitimate, you see. And so the colonizer makes the law, but colonialism itself is illegitimate, and that's why we're constantly engaged in struggle. Thank you. Uhuru.
Uhuru. Oh, you can do better than that. That's Chairman. You can do better than that. Uhuru. Yeah, I love that explanation. But I feel to bring 3 main points out of this, and we're gonna go to some questions. And we have a mic right here for you to answer some questions. And I got some beautiful posters of the 14-point platform. I got 3 of them. So don't all run to the mic at the same time. But this would be a beautiful poster to win if you get the answer right. And it's pretty much what we believe. And you can hang this on, wall or whatever. But to make it a long story short, yeah, and a couple house rules before I go further. For the guests, the bathrooms is to your left, my right, and can everyone put their phones on silent? I appreciate it. Uhuru. But main ideas out of point 2. The first one dealing with colonialism as a blood-sucking system will cause all economic development to benefit the colonial rulers in a society where we get nothing. And I think a lot of us familiar with that. How many of us was demanded of us to stay after work and, mandatory overtime? A lot of times we do 40+ hours a week, just to bring that financial reports up at the job site. And a lot of times we do. A lot of times we get burnt out trying to bring this job more resources. And at the end of that, what do they give us? A lot of times they give us a cup, a mug to put on your desk. If they like you, they might give you a plaque to put on the wall for 30 days. And if they like you a little bit more, they might end up getting $200, $300 out of the budget to throw a pizza party. But what is that? Especially when they could write off that $200, $300 during tax time. But what is that? At the end of the day, like I said, point 1 say colonialism as a blood-sucking system which caused all of the economic development to benefit them while we get nothing. Maybe, like I said, a mug. But point 2, even the unemployment and the underemployment of African people benefit the colonizer. Oh, don't get misconstrued. Some of you might say, how do the unemployed benefit the colonizer? When they can't, if there's not a tax bracket, how can they benefit? Oh, easy. Your so-called representative go to the Congress, go to the House, and get money for you with this so-called poverty program. Oh, yes, even your so-called Black representatives. Because we know a lot of times they don't have your interests at hand. A lot of times they neo-colonialism, we call it. We call it white power and blackface. But a lot of times they come to the House or the Senate to bring money for you, the unemployed. Bringing millions back down to St. Louis or wherever you might be from for your bread, what you call it, bread houses, or to help you with your rent, bills, etc. They bring hundreds of millions of dollars to your state, but you and I ain't getting nothing. We might get our bills paid once or twice. We might get a free meal if we stay in that line long enough. But these hundreds of millions of dollars that these so-called representatives come and get on your behalf, you get nothing. So once again, even it being unemployed benefit the colonizer. Being underemployed. Oh, how many of us know about being underemployed? Oh, how many of us know giving a job 40 plus hours a week, hit the snooze button 30 times just to get 5 more minutes of sleep? Your body say, I can't do it no more. Your mind motivates you because you know you have to feed, clothe, and house yourself. But guess what? When we finally get up and go to that job, these 40 plus hours a week, we barely have a paycheck that's going to meet us to the next paycheck. That's called underemployment. When I look at my paycheck and I say, I can't call off today because I need this money. But as long as they know they got you surviving off crumbs, you have no other choice but to come back to that job and to make the colonizers rich. So being unemployed, just know it benefit the colonizer. It's one of the same. And now if we end this third point with this, then we're gonna go with the questions and we're gonna move forward. A struggle for jobs for African people must be combined with the struggle for socialism and independent economic development. Once again, a struggle for jobs for African people must be combined with the struggle for socialism and independent economic development. If I wake up and struggle to go to this job and get this white man or neocolonial, whoever, capitalistic system rich, if I could struggle to do that, surely I could struggle for a socialist world where the people got the voice and not the upper echelon at the top. Surely I could struggle for that too. Surely I could struggle for our well-being. I want to ensure that I can struggle. We all can struggle for an independent economy for the Black people. You know that Arabs or Chinamen or whoever you want to call them, they in our neighborhoods, they suck the resources out of our neighborhoods and they go home. But we want the right and to have our own economics in our own community. Uhuru. But I feel to open it up for questions. And I guess the first question is for y'all is multiple choice. What is, and I stay a little bit too long on this, Chairman Spade on this, so y'all should know this answer. What is colonialism? What is colonialism? Is it a life insurance company? Whoever got the first answer, come to the mic. But multiple choice is easy. Is colonialism a life insurance company? Is it something that happens in Africa or to Asians? Is it another word for racism? Or D, is it a blood-sucking system that enriches the state and society at the expense of African peoples? Anybody got the answer? Who? Who said it? Who said it? Come on, get it this. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're absolutely right. Come on, get this, sir. Uhuru. Appreciate you. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Okay. Second question. Africans in the U.S. are habitual unemployed and unemployment because we are independent wealthy. The U.S. colonialism benefit for our lack of jobs. We have other things to do, or all the jobs are being exported to India. B, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Come and get your. Yes, appreciate it. Brother Amir. Appreciate that. Okay, third and final question, and then I sit down and get out your way. When we struggle for jobs, we must also struggle for socialism No. I ain't getting nobody no answer. When we struggle for a job, we must also A, struggle for socialism and independent economic development. B, make sure to join the union. C, to register at the unemployment office. Or D, to fight for minimum wage. Hey, who said it first? Your sister. Okay, Uhuru. Who said it? Uhuru. Uhuru. Okay. Thank you. We will continue to discuss on the 14-point platform of the African People's Socialist Party, as well as the Revolutionary National Democratic Program of the International People Democratic Uhuru Movement. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Serves the system itself that oppresses us. Because the more of us who are unemployed, we create this reserved labor force. And it means that we are trying to get work, and they can pay us anything they want to pay us because we don't have no jobs. So we have a whole community of people, you have a whole north side of people with no jobs and what have you. You have cheap employment on the south side of Black people. And I just think it's important for us to understand that. And we could talk about we want the right to economic development and creative and productive employment, which promote the needs and well-being of our entire people. Because most of us, if we get a job, if we're building houses, if we're doing something in somebody else's community, it's not developing our own community, it's not developing our own people, etc. And we have to just get a job, but we also, all of the employment that we're engaged in is for somebody else and not for ourselves. And this is the kind of thing that we're locked into. It's habitual. It's always been that way now, as we understand it. Therefore, people don't look too much at it like what it is in terms of extreme national oppression of exploitation of an entire population of people. And when you break that into that, when you disrupt that whole process, then you see how the government moves against you. Then now you're given the right to have a damn a bakery cafe that could feed people and give people jobs in what they call a food desert.
Uhuru. Well said. Thank you, and we will continue this discussion on the 14-point platform of the African People's Socialist Party, as well as the Revolutionary National Democratic Program of the International People Democratic Uhuru Movement, and our up-and-coming following Sunday rallies. Now, everybody put your hands together for the baddest woman on this planet. I would love and have the pleasure to introduce our one and only owner Zanae Yesatella, the architect behind the Black Power Blueprint and the president of the African People Development and Defense Fund, and her team. Uhuru, y'all can come on up to the mic. Uhuru. Uhuru.
Uhuru,
Fist up.
fight back,
Fist up.
fight back. Uhuru.
Eat Africa.
Israel too. So I have a few guests in the audience today, and I would like for them to stand up if we could. Can you, everybody hear me? Yeah. I'm sorry, I can't, Angelica. Play our song. There we go. Thank you. Can you hear me now? Uhuru. So I just really want to welcome everybody to Aquaba Hall, to Uhuru House. And I did invite a couple of guests today, and I see that they made it out. I will be speaking about them in this presentation as well, but I want them to stand up now. I see Karen Greer in the audience. I see Tamika Seiger in the audience. And I'm not sure, is that Prince Carter back there? Prince Carter, can you stand up? Whoa. So are they gonna play our song? We have a little jingle.
Uhuru, 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 what do we do? Offer programs of liberation for African self-determination. Uhuru means freedom.
So I just want to thank our volunteer in Philadelphia. She created this jingle for us, and we play this jingle because we want everybody to know what we stand for and what we believe as far as the economic development. So next slide. So I want to really appreciate the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement, NPDOM, for giving us this platform to speak today. I want to recognize the International President of NPDOM, which is Masamela Odom. Also his amazing local team, Kumba, Westbrook, Ikenge, Fofi, Kabula, and Sophia. Next slide. APDF mission is to defend the human and civil rights of the African community. And today we will be speaking on how African people have a right to economic and political self-determination. Next slide. I want to begin by recognizing and saluting the profound leadership of Chairman Omali Shatella, who is for over 50 years has dedicated his life to overturning this social system so Africa and the African people can be free in his lifetime. Next slide. I want to salute the courageous of Uhuru 3, the chairman, Chairwoman Penny Hess and Chesed Neville, who is known as the Uhuru 3, and their recent legal victory that concluded, next slide, that the Uhuru movement works for Black people, not Russia. Not one day, not one dime. Yes. The US government lied and lost. The Uhuru movement told the truth and we won. Next slide. St. Louis is the national headquarters of the African People's Socialist Party and the Uhuru movement. I was actually sent here in 2017 from St. Petersburg, Florida. And ever since I got here, we've been fighting for, just to have the basic food, clothing, and shelter in our community. At every turn since 2017, all the things that you see that we have put down on the ground, we had to fight to make it happen. So I just want to say, when we fight, we win, so let's not never surrender. So we have begun renovations on 14 new properties and have completed 7 in the last 6 years, and on the path to complete another 5 in 2025. Next slide. So this is the team from my office that will be making their presentations around the economic work that's happening right here on the north side of St. Louis. Next slide. The Black Power Blueprint programs are on the ground here in St. Louis. Many of you have already seen the profound rebuilding of North St. Louis that APDF and the Black Power Blueprint have initiated. We have demolished buildings in our community that have been pushed into the state of decay, demoralizing our people and denying our children an opportunity to easily imagine a future of happiness and success, all on one corridor. Next slide. The West Florissant corridor. And this is one of the reasons why the city wants to stop us from, making this happen, to see that African people has self-determination and economic development. Next slide. Before I move forward in this presentation, I would like to have a moment of silence for Mr. Gary Brooks, who passed away Tuesday, November 26, 2024. Next slide. This beautiful institution, the Gary Brooks Community Garden, is named from him. He was the first person that I worked with when I moved here. When we didn't have electricity, bathrooms, heat through the winter, cold through the summer, he was there right next door here, providing that for us. He let us use his restroom. He cooked for us. He saw that we were really the people that were going to stay and make it happen. So he was very cynical at first, but when he saw that we were trying to really make it happen, he just jumped right in and just put his everything that he had forward. Next slide. The other Black Power Blueprint programs include the Uhuru House and Aquaba Hall, which you are sitting in right now. Next slide. The Karibo Outdoor Venue, which is right next door. Both spaces can be rented out for a wedding, anniversaries, birthday parties, baby showers, any kind of event. You can rent this hall, you can rent the space next door. Next slide. Continuing down West Florissant at 4368 is the Black Power Vanguard Community Basketball Court. Next slide. Right next to the door to the basketball court is our fourplex housing unit for participants in our African Independent Workforce Program who are coming out of the prison and working on job training with the Black Power Blueprint institutions. Next slide. And here are some of the contractors and workers employed through APDF and the Black Power Blueprint. I mean, these contractors, they live in this community, they work in this community, they, really saw what we were doing and gave us the best prices, that they could give us so they can make a living as well. So we really want to salute them. Next slide. The two beautiful community murals were designed and installed by Jamie the artist. Next slide. Here's Jamie the artist completing the second mural located on the corner of West Florissant and College Avenue at our basketball court. And I want to say that Jamie actually, she was selected from about 20 artists that we had. And she's actually from Birmingham, Alabama. And when she came here, she got so much press from the news around her murals. She actually moved here. She lives right on Fair now. So we just want to bring everybody to the north side. Next slide. The One Africa, One Nation Farmers Market that we used to house that right outside here of our building, but now we're located in the O'Fallon Park neighborhood. Next slide. So by now, everybody know that APDF purchased the building at 3719 West Florissant Avenue for the Uhuru Bakery and Cafe. That was done on January 26th of last year. So we're up on a year in a couple of weeks. APDF and the Black Power Blueprint decided to purchase a smaller building to jumpstart Uhuru Foods and Pies more quickly. Next slide. This is the original building purchased for the bakery and cafe. This building is located on Goodfellow and Natural Bridge. We decided to start smaller on West Florissant because we needed $1.2 million to make that building happen. And when we met with Lance Knuckles from SLDC, we toured him on everything that we had. He told us not to apply for the ARPA funds because $1 million, nobody was going to be getting that. But we know what's happening with that. And we have people in this room that can speak to that more a little bit later. Next slide. So you'll be hearing more a little later on the serious struggle with the city of St. Louis to give us the permit for the Uhuru Bakery and Cafe. And all of this is a part of the struggle for African businesses on the north side to operate. Next slide. At 3771 West Florissant will be our Women's Center, Uhuru Wakalia, which means freedom to nurture. Building this capacity to nurture, support, and cultivate healing and wellness skills give African women the life-producing opportunity to care for our bodies and our mental health. Next slide. So again, I just really want to thank all of our generous donors who have contributed so far. We've raised $230,000. We have our architectural plans. Yes. We have our architectural plans and for this building to include a space for fitness, wellness programs, natural healing products, exam rooms, offices, entrepreneur programs, and more. Next slide. So continuing down West Florissant, we purchased 3 properties at 3945, 3943, and 3941 that would be the future home of our Black Power Square Retail and Business and Development Center that will be opening in 2026. Next slide. So all of these programs are tied together up and down West Florissant corridor as we continue to develop the independent Africa economy. Next slide. So I'm proud to say that we stand and have joined St. Louis Northside Business Coalition. And yes, and their fight against SLDC in the city around grant funds that were allocated for St. Louis Northside small businesses. Next slide. So back in July 2024, I was contacted by our neighbor business owner, Karen Greer, and she owns Angels Was In, to see if we could unite with this struggle to bring all the grant resources to the north side where the opera funds were actually allocated to go. So I introduced Karen before, but she's right across the street. Her business is called Angels Within CDS Home Healthcare Business, and she's located at 4108 West Florissant Avenue. Next slide. So Karen asked if we could join them for a press conference being held on the steps of SLDC office. Next slide. So this was where I met Tamika, a business owner of Lots of Glory, and we haven't looked back, only forward. Tamika is now the chairwoman for the St. Louis Northside Business Coalition. And I'm really proud to stand with these sisters. I want to say, where the brothers at? You know what I'm saying? We need y'all. We really need y'all. Next slide. So SLDC Business Coalition stood with APDF and the Black Power Blueprint at a press conference to expose the corruption you are reading about under the city mayor, Tachara Jones, and her administration in SLDC, and also the building division. Next slide. APDF and the Black Power Blueprint held a major demonstration at the YMCA where the mayor came with her entire office that, you know, that she keeps saying, I work for the whole city. Well, she doesn't work for the whole city. She worked for the south side, not the north side. So she's lying. Next slide. The Black Power Blueprint promotional team has been busy creating all kinds of propaganda to expose the mayor and her entire administration. Next slide. Going back to some of the other great things APDF and the Black Power Blueprint is doing that's most of you don't know is that APDF has been working on a program to renovate a number of other properties. Major renovations are in process as we speak on 4 properties that APDF would transform into affordable housing for our community. Right now, it's more affordable to rent than buy in 50 states of the major metro areas, according to the realtor.com. This is why we are claiming the North Side for the working class. Having affordable housing for our community is going to be key. Next slide. Yeah. So on Ferris Avenue, this was a complete gut. We hired Mr. Dependable, who has taken down and demolished all of our properties. And we also hired Angel from Eden Construction Roofing. So they both are on the scene making it happen. So you can see this was a major gut. We put a new roof on, we gutted the whole thing. And now we're in the process of bringing the 3 major things to it: HVAC, electric, and plumbing. Next slide. Another house on Ferris that we purchased. This house is in really good, excellent condition. We did not need to put a new roof. As you can see, the hardwood floors are excellent. Right now, we have the Raleigh Cooling and Heating there to do the HVAC system and the electric, and we hired Swift Plumbing to pipe in the bathrooms and kitchens. Next slide. Another property on Harris Avenue. This is not a complete gut, but we have major renovations going on. If we can just show that video of what that looked like. And this is what we mean by the city letting the north side rot. You know, if you see these beautiful houses and you go inside and you see the devastation inside, how did it get this way? You know, and they're supposed to have all these code violations that they're citing people on, but you know, I just don't get it. Kabula, can we play it?
Sure that.
Huh? Oh, we did?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, wasn't over. Okay, next slide. This is Mr. Dependable and some of his workers on this on the inside. This is zone commercial, so we'll be putting a small black business at 4029 West Florissant is right where the mural is on now. We brought that property and we own that property now, and you can see if you can play that video. Thought we had. I thought we had. He's got it. So these are some of Mr. Dependable workers. Look at the devastation inside that building. And I'm happy to say that that building is completely cleaned out now and ready to go. Next slide. The city is blocking the Black Power Blueprint because they have a plan for the North Side, and it's not meant to benefit us. The National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, which is a combat support agency that collects intelligence for national security, AKA a spy agency, has built a huge facility on the North Side, and the plan has been to let the North Side African community rot so the city can gentrify it with NGA employees who are already start moving in. If you can see, they're buying up not just one house, they're buying up blocks of houses because they know that these workers need a place to stay and they can get cheap acquisition for these buildings. And these buildings are beautiful. Next slide. So at 4619 and 4617 Natural Bridge, so in addition to these renovations, APDL purchased a building right next to our annual, the African National Women's Organization headquarters. We are excited because it's on a major thoroughfare, and we have a vision for this house for our Buy Black Power products. Next slide. This property is 75% complete from total rehab. The seller was willing to leave leftover supplies, flooring and vanity, etc., with the sale of the property. New staircase, new floors, new walls, and basement has been framed out to add additional rooms to this property. Is the perfect for a homeowner or investors to finish the final touches their way. Next slide. So we will develop our Black Power campaign with the distribution of Uzi, Enzo, and Uhuru Planet products. We will buy from each other and sell to everyone. We will not just buy Black. We will be buying Black Power. Next slide. This would also include Enzo products, Uzi, Planet Uhuru, also Vanguard 7 lipstick, African flags, red stars, berets, Bernie Spear publications, the Bernie Spear newspaper, decolonized products, and more. Next slide. So look at some of the beautiful Enzo pieces that is our line, our commercial line. Our pillows, our beautiful crochet items by All Powers Production Creations by Ciali up front, and much more. Next slide. So if this isn't exciting enough, there are two more properties where we're going to reveal today. This is a large building on West Florissant and Warning, and a large lot down the street from West Florissant, very close to the basketball court. First, a larger building down the street may be a perfect place to actually move this Uhuru house and put it in a larger place, and then use the smaller place to actually put Uhuru Wakalia. So we're really just grappling with what we're going to do, which one is going to be more cost effective for us, and to actually get we want to get done. We want this corridor to get finished where we can have a thriving community. It's not just good enough to have a neighborhood, because a neighborhood without commerce is dead. And that's what we be trying to tell, like, the College Hill Neighborhood Association, which they still don't understand. Next slide. So here are 3 brief videos that shows the depth of how the city has let, the North Side rot. So we can play those small videos. Go to the next one. These guys are not messing around. They are get out the way, Kitty. They're getting the job done. One. This is actually a building that we purchased from the LRA. And we purchased this building for $1,000. This is one of the buildings that they tried to take back from us that we won back after they say we couldn't have it. Is that it? It's frozen. Okay. Okay, Kabula, let's go to the next slide. We can cut it and go to the next slide. It seems like it's frozen. First phase. Clearing out the building. We can cut it. Can you tell them?
Next slide.
There's a little lag time.
Yeah, just go ahead and cut it. Let's go to the next slide, Kabula. So APDF isn't stopping there. There is a vacant lot where we are going to be putting in a professional farm to table garden and the greenhouses that will produce fresh fruits, vegetables, and herbs for Uhuru Bakery and Cafe, as well as grow year-round starter plants that will also feed into the Gary Brooks Community Garden. This is a beautiful garden, would employ a master gardener, and we're looking at exciting possibilities of other ways to make self-sustaining and more sustainable sources of food for our community. We will be hiring positions as project director, master gardener, and administrative assistant with fringe benefits. So if you're interested in applying, send me an email at info@apdf.com or call me at my number 314-380-8012. Again, info@apdf.com.
It'd be .org.
No, it's .com. Okay, it's .com. Or call me at 314-380-8012. Thank you. Next slide. Of course, tied into all of this development are the two most important things, the people. Next slide. Let me say that again. It's the people. The Black Power Blueprint build relationships with our first student group from Washington University who came in force to our volunteer garden day. Next slide. Moving on, we are building and bringing Uhuru on the Move, our moving company to St. Louis that will be tied directly to our workforce development program that you will hear about in a few minutes from Stephanie. Next slide. We furnished our apartment with beautiful pieces from Uhuru Furniture and Collectibles in Philadelphia. They drove 900 miles through the mountains of snowstorm to bring this quality of furniture. And one of the pieces, hand painted Enzo furniture, we have that in each apartment. Next slide. We have moved our association, ANIBA, which stands for the African National Independent Business Association, from St. Petersburg, Florida to St. Louis, with the tagline, Developing Economic and Self-Determination. The mission is to transfer business skills and experiences to existing and or aspiring Black entrepreneurs that is designed to enhance our community's capacity for achieving economic self-reliance and in our struggle for Black national liberation under the leadership of the African working class. ANIBA will work with other organizations nationally and internationally. Next slide. And the vision for ANIBA is to lead the charge to unite national interests of all African people globally under the slogan By Black Power, and build a new liberated African that benefits Africans and contributes to the creation of independent global self-reliance, economic development that will provide well-being for Africans for all eternity. Next slide. We will continue to be the voice for the Black St. Louis Speak newspaper, informing the people of what's happening in the community so they can get involved. Next slide. We've added various ways that we can speak to the people. We were able to snag this amazing billboard on one of the busiest corridors in St. Louis on Page Avenue. So we will begin advertising on this month of 2025. Next slide. So I want to close my presentation with one question. Can you see it? Can you see the ecosystem that we are creating? Can you see how APDF is creating an independent African economy? How everything works together to create the ability for our community to feed, clothe, and house ourselves and have commerce in our community life. If you can see it, you need to come and be a part of it. This is the future. We are on a mission. We must understand that our political significance of our economic institutions and campaigns. Together, they represent the unity of theory and practice. Uhuru. Next slide, the last slide is, let's not forget our economic work is revolutionary work, Uhuru. And now I want to play this little clip that our volunteer Javen put together for the chairman. Just a second. Can we play that?
Got to keep showing up until they give you all those accolades you feel you deserve, until they call you chairman.
He stopped me, but okay, Uhuru. So I just want to go ahead and introduce my comrade here, Stephanie Midler, who is going to be talking to you about the African Independent Workforce Program, a new program. Actually, it's not a new program. I actually brought this to the movement back in 2015. And somehow it just escaped everything that we were trying to do at the time. So 10 years later, we are here bringing it and producing it now in this community. And I want to just go ahead and turn it over to Stephanie.
Uhuru. Let's first give that presentation another round of applause. Incredible. Can't believe I'm going to follow that.
You'll be all right.
Uhuru. So my name is Stephanie Midler. I'm a member of the African People's Solidarity Committee, the organization of white people created and working under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party. We work in the white community, building reparations, getting reparations from the white community back to the African community. And I have the honor of working directly under the leadership of this incredible leader next to me, Deputy Chair Onezene Ishitela, the visionary and architect and leader of the whole Black Power Blueprint. And what I've been asked to speak about today is the African Independence Workforce Program. So I just salute this meeting and the whole program so far, which is about colonialism and the extraction of the wealth of African and other oppressed peoples. And AIWP is about recapturing the wealth created by the labor of African people and the land of Africa itself. And so we want to start off by showing a brief 7-minute video that describes a little bit more about what the African Independence Workforce Program is. So if we can show that video.
Uhuru, 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 what do we do? Offer programs of liberation for African self-determination. Uhuru means freedom.
I am Onezene Ishitela, Board President of the African People's Education and Defense Fund. We are building the African Independence Workforce Program. Our tagline is "Our Labor, Our Future." This is a step towards building an independent economy in our own interests and investing in our own collective future.
The African Independence Workforce Program is necessary as a response to the conditions of colonialism we face as a people. We have faced conditions in which our labor has produced wealth for others at our expense. But APEDF has always defended the human and civil rights of our Black community. Many of you have already seen the profound rebuilding of North St. Louis that we have initiated. building programs to address the serious disparities our community faces. Life expectancy in the African community of North St. Louis is 17 years less than in the white community. The infant mortality rate in St. Louis could fill 12 kindergarten classrooms every year. Our community makes up 13% of the national population, but 40% of the prison population. APEDF created the African Independence Workforce Program to address the devastating effect prisons have on our community. Prisons have always been used as a colonial tool to extract our labor. They have a profoundly destabilizing impact on our families and communities. Corporations and the economy as a whole benefit from our exploited free labor, generating billions of dollars through the prison economy. Since the 1990s, the incarceration rate of African women in the U.S. has increased by 828%. The majority of Black women in prison have been incarcerated and criminalized for trying to feed their families. Why is this considered a crime? APEDF understands that the conditions we face as a community. So the solution must be a collective solution to have lasting change. The mission of the African Independence Workforce Program is to reverse the negative economic and social impact of the colonial economy and prison system, and to train members of our community to contribute to a prosperous future through development of our own independent economy. When the mission of the African Independence Workforce Program is carried out, we uplift the entire community. We will ensure the success of the mission by carrying out the four main components of the African Independence Workforce Program: job training, job placement, housing, and life services. We have beautifully furnished, dedicated housing units ready for use, complete with appliances. The African Independence Workforce Program has created the Huduma za Maisha program. This is Swahili for life services that we will provide. In addition to assisting in locating outside employment opportunities, we are uniquely positioned to offer immediate job placement in 14 of our own institutions and programs. Here are some of the positions for which training is available: chefs, bakers, line cooks, caterers, production managers, professional furniture movers, truck drivers, logistics and outreach coordinators, social media and marketing coordinators, farmers and gardeners, store managers, artists and graphic artists, t-shirt printers, customer service managers, project managers, radio engineers, human resources personnel, photographers, videographers, and grassroots organizers. All of these positions are part of institutions we have created by renovating abandoned and decaying properties in our community. They are now grassroots economic institutions that are transforming the need of the independent African economy, placing power back in our own hands. We created the Gary Brooks Community Garden, the One Africa, One Nation Farmers Market, and the Uhuru Bakery and Cafe to end food apartheid that is prevalent in North St. Louis. These programs bring fresh, nutritious foods as well as job opportunities into our community. Our state-of-the-art basketball court and program will improve leadership abilities, social skills, critical thinking, and self-confidence. Basketball creates lifelong memories that people will have forever, and this is something you cannot put a price on. These are all beautiful, high-quality African self-determination programs that our community takes pride in, built from the ground up. We are repairing our community. Participants of the African Independence Workforce Program will not need to leave our communities to find meaningful employment. We can see our labor building our own communities that benefit our children and our neighbors' children. For the final component of the program, job training, we will tap into APEDF's over 30-year history of training and working with people impacted by the prison system in several of our current institutions and programs. Our focus has been on African and Indigenous working-class adults, youth, and seniors. In addition to vocational training, the African Independence Workforce Program's job training component will include leadership skills, soft skills, and hard skills training. We are creating career pathways with a strong focus on entrepreneurship. Our goal is for every participant to have a career that allows them to own a home, support a family, and to employ and uplift their community. We are forging collaboration with other organizations because we are stronger together. Collaboration is at the heart of African culture. We invite everyone to take a tour, see how we have already transformed our community in North St. Louis. We ask you to invest in this strategy. A sense of agency has been taken away from African people. We are taking it back. Together, we are making a pledge to our community that not one child shall go hungry, not one family shall be homeless, not one youth shall be without a positive future, not one elder shall be disrespected and alone. This is the African Independence Workforce Program. Our labor, our future. Join us.
Uhuru, 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 what do we do? Offer programs of liberation for African self-determination. Uhuru means freedom.
Love that jingle. I love that jingle.
Uhuru. So as Deputy Chair said earlier, I think you said it twice earlier, actually, the people are everything. And I just really want to salute my leadership, our leadership, Chairman Amalia Shatella. I remember the first time I heard you say, Chairman, that politicians don't make any change. And I was like, what? Like, wait, what? And, but Chairman, what you had said, how I heard it anyways, was that it's the people who make it necessary for a politician to make any change. The people organizing collectively make the make all the change in the world. The people are everything. Next slide. So these two Black Power Blueprint programs are focused on bringing in the people and giving them the ability to change the conditions of the African community. Both the African Independence Workforce Program, the Re-Entry Program, and the NTU Volunteer Program meet people where they are at politically and practically and develop them to the highest level that they want to go. Whether someone is returning from prison and wants to start their own business or get skills to build a career, or if someone's a volunteer who just wants to participate in everything that's happening, these programs will get those people there. Next slide. So one of the distinct features of the Black Power Blueprint is that it's not just one program. This is a whole suite of programs, as Deputy Chair was saying, all along this corridor that are addressing every aspect of the lives of the African community here in St. Louis. And it's a blueprint for every African community throughout the US, throughout the world, to take and use wherever they are. Showing how a community can together create genuine economic development and self-sufficiency. And the AIWP Re-Entry Program and the NTU Volunteer Program are like the threads tying all of these pieces together, because the people are the ones that make everything happen, all the programs. AIWP and NTU are the ways that anyone can contribute their skills, talents, and efforts to benefiting the African the African community. Next slide. So APDF has been doing this work, as Deputy Chair was saying earlier, for many years. For about the last 30 years, we've trained both volunteers and employees, some returning from the prison system. And we've done this in all of our institutions and programs, but especially at our Uhuru Furniture and Collectibles stores in Oakland, California, and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, is shown here. Next slide. And also our Uhuru Foods and Pies institutions in St. Petersburg, Florida, and Oakland, California, shown here. But we're bringing all of that experience now to the AIWP as a standalone re-entry program to facilitate bringing people with a variety of experience and skills into our institutions, where their labor will then help build all the Black Power Blueprint programs and benefit the whole community. Next slide. And we are continuing our Uhuru NTU Volunteer Brigade program, recruiting and working with volunteers of all ages and all walks of life. Next slide. Who believe in building African community self-determination and power. Everyone is welcome to become a volunteer. So that means you. Everyone is welcome to sign up today, become a volunteer. We do new volunteer orientations every week. You don't necessarily have to know what you want to do. You might just want to hear about it, and that's fine. Come to an orientation and find out how you can participate. Right now, especially, we're looking for artists. We're looking for people who can train other people. We're looking for people to help on our promotions team, but also everything else. So really encourage you to sign up to volunteer. You can also go to our website, blackpowerblueprint.org, and there's a volunteer sign up page there as well. Next slide. And I want to take a moment before I end my portion to just really invite everyone here to this next Saturday's very special annual event. This is the 3rd annual Black Power Blueprint Heart and Soul Volunteer Appreciation Party, Saturday, January 18th at 3 p.m. right here at Aquaba Hall. This is the time when we recognize the most important part of the Black Power Blueprint programs, the people, our volunteers. And, it's our way of saying that the volunteers are the heart and soul of all of our programs. Next slide. So join us for this free event again next Saturday, the 18th at 3 p.m. here at Aquaba Hall. Or if you're online, you can join us virtually as well. We're going to have refreshments, music, awards. It's a beautiful event. And I encourage you to register today. When I step down, I'm going to pass out flyers. There's also flyers back there. You can scan the QR code right now with your phone and register. So I just really invite everyone to come out. So that wraps up my portion. Uhuru.
Thank you, Stephanie. And now we want to bring up the Uhuru Foods and Pies team. Director Maureen Wagner, Ciala Mianda, and Allison Haney. Out first.
Pistol,
Fight back.
pistol.
Fight back. You. I think we're making a difference. We go. Okay. Africa.
I guess since that was unexpected, that's the energy I got. So that kid wanna come. Israel too.
Africa.
Africa.
Israel too.
I just want to really salute Deputy Chair Zanea Shatella, that amazing presentation, which is amazing because that work is actually happening and led by Ona Zanea and the African People's Socialist Party, African People's Education, the Events Fund.
Which is the mic? This one here?
Yeah. Both.
Like Stephanie, Ali and I are also members of the African People's Solidarity Committee. And in addition to working directly in the white community, part of what we do as reparations is help build this anti-colonial economy and negate the colonial economy that oppresses African people. It's about time white people did some work, after 600 years. So it's just such an honor to be a part of this and to help build under DC's leadership, under the leadership of the chairman of the African People's Socialist Party, a economy that is not based on slavery and one people living at the expense of another. So we want to tell you a little bit about the history of Uhuru Foods and Pies and then the bakery struggle that a lot of people know about. So next slide. In 1972, when the African People's Socialist Party was formed, it understood that, self-reliance and self-determination are a necessity for the goals of African liberation. And in the 1970s, the APSP did fish fries, picked oranges, washed cars, led donation campaigns, and opened businesses then. In 1978, the party was building the campaign to free Desi Woods. Desi Woods was an African woman and who defended herself and a friend who were against colonial rape. As a fundraiser for that campaign in San Francisco for the July 4th March, the party led a food booth at the San Francisco Pride Festival in June of that year. And that was the real birth of Uhuru Foods and Pies. Next slide. Throughout the 80s and 90s, the African People's Solidarity took out the Uhuru movement campaigns to white communities through Uhuru Foods and Pies, winning solidarity and getting support from tens of thousands of people. And this was part of the party's strategy to make reparations a household word and win material solidarity and support for the campaigns from the white community. We sold thousands of giant chocolate chip cookies at Grateful Dead concerts and other events, did bake sales, and began doing concessions at progressive political events, theaters, concerts, fairs, and festivals in the Bay Area and other cities, Bay Area of California, San Francisco, and Oakland. Next slide. In 1987, the Uhuru movement opened Uhuru Bakery Cafe and Catering in North Oakland as a way to expand and consolidate the food sales. Next slide. The bakery and cafe was a magnificent institution. It was very popular with amazing food. One food reviewer from the local newspaper at the time said she thought she had died and gone to heaven. It was also a popular political organizing center and a place for people to gather. And this is really important. Deputy Chair was talking about commerce being part of a neighborhood, but so is community and being able to be together and talk with each other. The Bakery Cafe was forced to close in December 1989 due to damage from 3 mysterious fires in the building that the landlord refused to repair. This Uhuru Bakery and Cafe in St. Louis is modeled after this historic Oakland Bakery and Cafe. Next slide. In 2012, Black Star Industries was created by the African People's Socialist Party with Uhuru Foods and Pies as its first fully owned subsidiary. This is what makes Uhuru Foods and Pies unique. It's about the right of African people to be self-determining, self-reliant, and self-governing. It's not just about good food and pies. Next slide, I want to say what we do is we do booths at farmers markets, food concessions at festivals, Uhuru Pie's annual holiday pie campaign, promote and win support for Black Star Industries, and collaborate with other businesses. Next slide. In the 90s and 2000s, Uhuru Foods became preferred vendor at many prestigious fairs in California and Florida, including the Monterey Jazz Festival, Reggae on the River, Maker Fair, the Honda Grand Prix, and Pride Festivals. In the 1990s, Uhuru Foods expanded to festivals in Pennsylvania and New York, including providing all the food for a week-long New England women's music retreat. And we also had an espresso cart in Philadelphia that Allison helped coordinate, baking and serving delicious food. From 2002 to 2020, we built a huge following, serving thousands of delicious breakfasts and lunches in St. Petersburg, Florida. And in 2005, we began those market booths in Oakland. And in case you haven't had the opportunity to taste Uhuru pies, they are made from scratch with quality all-natural ingredients, and our signature is the African sweet potato pie. So we do that every year in the fall and in California and Florida, and now in St. Louis. Next slide. And we do the NTU program, as Comrade Stephanie said, and these are just a few pictures of some amazing volunteers. In 2012, after using 5 kitchens in St. Petersburg, Florida, the African People's Education and Defense Fund was finally able to build the Uhuru Jiko kitchen in the Uhuru House in St. Petersburg, and the pies can be baked from there. When people come to pick up their pies, they can see Black Power 96, the Aquaba Hall, the Amalia Shatella Resource Center, and more. So I'm going to turn it over to Sayali Moyenda, who's the outreach coordinator for Uhuru Foods and Pies and a long participant.
All right. Uhuru. So just want to say that over the years, we've developed our professional baking systems, and we're continuing to do so. We bought a pie dough press in 2021 for Oakland, and then in 2024 for St. Pete, Florida. So now we make our own pie shells, and we're not going to show the video, but we made 600 pie shells shown here in one day. And then we developed retail accounts and processes for wholesaling Uhuru pies and want support for the Black Power Blueprint that way. And then the locals over the years, many of these corporations and farms have donated to Uhuru Foods and Pies. So just to say, the average annual donations from California's farmers were 2,000 pounds of sweet potatoes, 1,000 pounds of organic apples, 125 quarts of half and half, and about 450 dozen of fresh eggs, and then 1,000 pounds or 1 ton of flour. It's a lot of pies. And then after George Floyd was murdered, an African craft beer brewer called for breweries to create special brews to benefit Black organizations. So Uhuru Foods and Pies has several collaborations with Humble Seed Brewing Company. The first Black is Beautiful Stout. And then we built relationships over the years and had new introductions to people that turned to Uhuru to donate and support. Grants and donations submitted to APDF. And next slide. And then we did a second collaboration with Humble Seed that resulted in a beer and pie, which was named Uhuru Means Freedom. And these were created for African History Month in 2022, and which resulted in new retail relationships in Northern California. And this pie, as you can see, was based off of a double fudge walnut brownie pie. That's a mouthful. Unfortunately, no.
Heart attack.
But that's my, no. So we've had a long relationship and done pie sales at pop-ups at Cliff Bar in California since 2010. They have provided grants to APDF and introduced us to NBA player Stephen Curry's foundation, Eat, Learn, and Play. Next slide. And in December 2020, Uhuru Pies was a partner in the Christmas with the Currys event at the Oakland Coliseum. And this event was sponsored by the popular NBA player Stephen Curry and his family. They were on site to give food away to families in Oakland. Foods and gifts were given to 1,000 families in Oakland. And Uhuru Pies baked 1,000 9-inch sweet potato pies for those families. And in this, one night, right? In one night, in one night. And as you can see, this is the proud entire crew at 2:30 in the morning after baking, packaging, and loading 1,000 pies. And that's also after cleaning up the kitchen too. And as Uhuru Pies grows, we plan to produce 1,000 or more pies on many days in St. Louis. And next slide. APDF bought the boathouse at Goodfellow in 2017 as part of the Black Power Blueprint with the plan. It's going to be the future home of the African Independence Workforce Program. Next slide. We also want financial, technical, and business support from others. The San Francisco Baking Institute designed the plans for the bakery and cafe on Goodfellow. This will be the home of Uhuru Foods and Pies and a beautiful cafe and outdoor event space with an efficient open concept bakery. We have the architectural drawings that were done by HT Design, and BJ Boys demoed the internals of the building. And this project will cost more than $1.2 million to complete, but work has begun on it. The vision is real, and APDF owns this building outright and has raised funds towards the continued renovation. Next slide.
Uhuru. My name's Allison, and I'm very honored to be here today and be part of this incredible presentation under Deputy Chair Ona's leadership. And as you see, Deputy Chair Ona Zanea Shatella is putting in practice the party's platform, the number 2 point of the party's platform for economic development and empowerment for the African community. I'm also a member of the African People's Solidarity Committee and very proud to be part of Uhuru Bakery and Cafe and Uhuru Foods team. So we wanted to tell you about the struggle that Deputy Chair has been leading for the past 8 months with the city of St. Louis to get Uhuru Bakery up and running. So as Deputy Chair said earlier, the African People's Education Defense Fund purchased this building at 3719 West Florissant for the Uhuru Bakery and Cafe on January 26, 24, about a year ago. APDF and Black Star Industries decided to purchase the smaller building to jumpstart Uhuru Foods and Pies more quickly and enhance the Black Power Blueprint on the West Florissant corridor. Next slide. This was over 11 months ago. APDF had the goal to open Uhuru Bakery and Cafe by early fall. In March 24, we met with architect Dwayne Thompson of HT Design, who's the person on the right of the whole thing, of the pictures, whose team created a rendering and floor plan design. On the left is the owner of the demolition company, Ben Petty, Mr. Dependable, And we determined with architect Dwayne that we wanted to add a 10 by 20 foot addition to the side of the building for an area for pie production. And so people can, because it's a very small kitchen, a very small building and cafe, but we want an extension on it so people can see people where the food is coming from, people producing the pies, you know, and smell the pies too. So next slide. So Dwayne's intern did a beautiful artist rendering of what the cafe could look like. And the side addition, you know, will not be a container as it's pictured here. It's just an extension of the building. This is something we shared with the neighborhood association, and we show our supporters because it reflects the beauty that APDF is bringing to uplift the North Side. In addition to bringing jobs and bringing delicious food to the neighborhood, Uhuru Bakery will be a community hub. You know, you have seating, can gather together, talk and eat and participate together. So next slide. So APDF and our architect Dwayne submitted plans to the zoning department on May 28th. We understood from the department that it might take 3 to 4 weeks to get approval and then be able to start renovation. Next slide. And everybody's asking us, why aren't we open yet? Definitely wanted to be open for the pie campaign for the fall. And this is why, you know, it's been 8 months already. Next slide. We've run into serious attacks, roadblocks, and pushback by the city of St. Louis, who are continuing their policy of letting the Black community of North St. Louis rot. APDF and Uhuru Foods and Pies are waging a serious campaign to fight for the community to have this cafe, and also for the city to support the hundreds of other small Black businesses who are struggling to open and sustain their businesses. Next slide. A week after submitting our plans, the building department told us there was a zoning hold on the permits because a restaurant is not covered in Zone F. This meant that no other part of the permit approval process can move forward. We were surprised because the building has been a restaurant for over 20 years in a food desert. So why would it take a whole other zoning policy? We were told we needed a conditional use hearing that wouldn't happen until the end of August. However, we could get a zoning hold waiver with the support of the alderperson and the neighborhood association and begin construction while we were waiting for the hearing. So that's what we wanted to do and went for. So next slide. We attended the College Hill Neighborhood Association meeting on June 26th. Alderman Aldridge said he would come to that meeting, but he didn't. Uhuru Foods made a presentation, you can see on the right, to the meeting that laid out our 40+ year history of providing delicious, healthy food to our community and showed the association what the cafe would bring to this neighborhood. We addressed their concerns and made it clear that the extension is a regular construction, not a shipping container, as they were concerned about. And at the recommendation of the zoning department, we had applied for use of alcohol because we may want to serve beer with people's lunches or mimosas with weekend brunch, like all the cafes on the South Side do. Next slide. The neighborhood association then held a closed meeting on Friday, June 28th, 2 days later, to vote on our request for their support. They told us that businesses could not be part of their association or vote, so we weren't allowed to go to that meeting. We asked for their bylaws, which they never gave us, repeatedly asked. They didn't contact us, and when we texted and called the president, Devontae Saunders, he texted back a curt message saying they were not able to support it at that time without giving any reason whatsoever. Later, we got a hold of a copy of the bylaws, and it says clearly businesses can be voting members. So we were locked out. We couldn't go forward with the construction without the support of the Alderman and Neighborhood Association until the conditional use hearing on August 22nd, where the zoning board disregarded all the 223 signatures that we got from individuals, the 114 business letters, and the 14 people who made public statements in person during the hearing, stating their desire to have a cafe on the north side of St. Louis in support of the bakery. Next slide. There was one testimony and one letter of opposition to the granting of our permit given to the zoning board. And it was from this woman, Terry Rose, who's pictured the alleged president emerita, that's what it said on some paper, which means a previous president of the elusive College Hill Neighborhood Association. We're just gonna play a recording from that zoning board hearing with Terry Rose butting in and making her, vicious attack on the bakery. So if we could play that, please.
Yes.
Okay, can I have your name and address?
Yes. Terry Rose, 2016 East Calyx Avenue, 63107. You can't compare Calyx Hill to anything on the south side. Yeah. Blackston had 16, 17 homes on them when I was a kid. I was born and raised there. I'm fifth generation on my dad's side. So it'll be the fourth place in there. The three others failed. They talked about for the neighborhood, people in the neighborhood aren't going to be able to afford to go in there and eat. We had one woman from the neighborhood. She was supported by members of the Lutheran Church, opened a restaurant on Grand, couldn't make a go of it. One of the neighborhood residents told me, I went in there to eat. She wanted $6 for some pancakes. I can go up to Aldi's and buy a box of pancake mix for $1. I live up there. I know there's no place to go to eat. But there aren't enough people to support it, or the people that live there can't afford to go into a restaurant and eat. It just, and flyers that they sent out, I showed one of their flyers to a friend of mine who's African American. She read it, she looked at me and she said, this is racist. We didn't write a letter of support because we don't support it. Alderman Aldridge called me, they went to him before they came to us. He sent them to us and he told me if the neighborhood organization didn't support it, he wasn't going to support it. This group appears to me, feels like they're divisive. They're a foreign corporation. They're a Russian corporation that was initially set up in Florida. One of their leaders is under federal indictment for Russian propaganda. We don't want that in our neighborhood. We don't want somebody who's going to come in and be divisive. And that's the feel that a lot of people get from this organization. So no, we don't want them. Don't want the expansion. And as long as the churches across the street, as the current rules are according to the excise commissioner, they won't be able to get a liquor license. And talk about liquor license, a few months ago in the summer when they had, I think it was 23 shootings over a weekend, 3 or 4 of them happened at a bar in the Fairgrounds neighborhood at Prairie and Cassis. I think 3 people got shot. So it's not a neighborhood, it's not a place where we need liquor licenses, any type of liquor license. Because people don't have a fist fight or a knife fight anymore, they pull out a gun. So we don't want it.
Okay, thank you, Terry.
Next slide. Yeah, I mean, meanwhile, they just gave a huge grant to what's it called? Bosley, and who owns a whole bar and joint right down the street on Grand. Anyway, we wanted to read this letter too, because the other testimony that she gave was a letter written to the zoning board, and it's really libelous letter submitted to the zoning board. Every point is a blatant lie that could have easily been disproved with the slightest investigation on their part. It's saying, one, these are the reasons they don't want the bakery. Uhuru is a foreign Russian corporation whose president is currently under federal indictment for Russian propaganda charges. Here's our president. She is not under any indictment whatsoever. Number 2, College Hill is not an entirely African-American community. Nobody said it was. Many residents, white and black, have lived and worked together side by side in College Hill for decades, 30, 40, 50 years. Based on review of Uhuru's flyers, residents feel that Uhuru is divisive, which is the Russian government's goal. 3, residents do not want buildings made from shipping containers in the neighborhood, which it's not. But we understand Terry Rose is a white colonial occupier. She said she's lived here. She's in an African community. And overseer. I mean, she's taking the stand in opposition to African people having control of their lives and communities, and accuses Uhuru of being divisive, yet she spews the slanderous criminalization of the African community. She's the one, obviously, that is divisive, saying African people, can't eat and have liquor. Next slide. So the neighborhood opposition to the bakery was pre-planned and orchestrated. We do know this, have evidence for this, by Terry Rose with elected officials whose salaries are paid by us, the residents of St. Louis. They used the attacks by the US government and Department of Justice, who attempted to put Chairman Omali Yeshitela and the Uhuru Three in prison for 15 years and extort hundreds of thousands of dollars from them based on the lie that the Uhuru movement works for the Russian government. And as we know, the Uhuru Three were found not guilty, and the judge stated that in the case, that the case was about freedom of speech. And, you know, we understand the Uhuru Bakery struggle is also about freedom of speech, that Terry Rose says APDF literature is divisive by using terms, she said in some other document, by saying food desert is divisive, by saying food apartheid is divisive. These are terms that USDA defines and approves. These are common terms in every city. This political slander was used by the city's mayor and city departments and the neighborhood association to stop African community economic development. They don't want any independent African-owned businesses on the north side. You can see if you drive through the north side, there are no businesses. Okay, next slide. Zoning section staffer, Sandra Long, recommended in writing the denial of the permit to the Board of Public Service. She made a judgment call, which she said herself, I made a judgment call based on the opposition. Whoops. What happened to my whole thing? Okay. Read it. Okay, sorry. My whole thing just jumped for 1 second. I'm just gonna try to get it back. I don't know where it is. Sorry. Okay, so will we on that side?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this is the one person, T'Challa Jones, next slide, who can put a stop to this type of discrimination. Am I on the wrong slide? Okay, sorry, go back to T'Challa Jones, if you can. Oh, that's right. We skipped over something. Can you try to get this? Oh, I'm so sorry. It's crazy. We're on. Okay, so now we're going to Richard Bradley. Okay, and this is the Board of Public Service, Richard Bradley, who's empowered to approve or deny conditional use permits. He rubber stamped the denial from the zoning board, and the entire file containing more than 300 signatures in support of the bakery sat on his desk as he did this. When APDF asked him about the signatures, he said he didn't even read the file. He didn't open the file. He didn't question the recommendation of Sandra Long, and he didn't apply the standards of permit approval that are stated in the conditional use ordinances. This is a violation of APDF's due process. Next slide. At the same September 3rd Board of Public Service closed hearing, the city approved 2 business expansions on the south side with full alcohol and outdoor seating. One was Shaved Duck Restaurant, and the other was Ray's Sports Bar. And there are more restaurant openings on the south side every day, as we see in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Almost all of them get liquor licenses and outside seating. Other businesses, hearings, they do need neighborhood association approval to their permits, but we've been told they almost always get it. Very unusual, because most neighborhood associations want businesses in their neighborhood. It enhances and grows the neighborhood. And, you know, as we see, that is not the case in North St. Louis. Next slide. So APDF was relentless in attempting to get the mayor and the city government to do the right thing and grant Uhuru Bakery's permit. Uhuru Foods sent this letter to the mayor, the Board of Aldermen, president, all the alder people, and many other city government departments, calling for meetings with us to overturn this unjust decision. We spent 2 weeks in City Hall, going from department to department with no response. We were not complaining about the gross injustice. We wanted action to overturn the permit denial. Next slide. And this is the one person, you know, T'Challa Jones, the mayor, who can put a stop to this type of discrimination. All those departments report to her. But so far she's been silent, and we've gone to her office, spoken to her representatives, sent her a business letter asking her to intervene. and she's just ghosted us. Deputy Chair showed you pictures from the action that APDF led at the cabinet in the community event. No, it's still on this one. The mayor ignored not only our questions about Uhuru Bakery and economic development, she also showed total disdain for the community. Many angry and upset Black community members got up and spoke about different issues that they were confronting, and she didn't speak to them at all. Okay, next slide. The mayor, this is crazy. The mayor recently passed a law to make it easier to get a temporary liquor license. Here she is. We're going to show a little video. She was on her Facebook of her visiting the first temporary liquor license location this past week, bragging and supporting Southside businesses. This business owner says a business can make more money and create more jobs if it can be a full service cafe. While campaigning for the upcoming election, the mayor also told one of our volunteers, who's here today, that the liquor license was the issue with getting the bakery open. And this is not true, obviously. It's a lie. And it promotes the slander against the Black community that African people can't handle liquor. So if we could play that, that little video, please. Can I get my back? God, just not.
Sound, Kabula.
Let's start again and do the sound. No sound?
No sound?
No sound.
Really?
Why? Why is no sound? Y'all didn't test that before?
Can we play it from one of our
Anyway, let's
computers?
keep on.
Because basically she's going into, it's like park, what's it called? Park, it's just north of the park. And just south of Del Mar Divide, this cafe in a big marketplace area.
Up in the left corner, there should be a sound symbol.
Yeah, she's effusive, she's greeting them. Oh, this is adorable, she said. And boasting that she got the liquor license law passed where they only had to, they could apply for it and get the license in 4 to 6 weeks. And she said that's so much better than 4 to 6 months, which is of course what they're putting us through. And let's see, I'll read the thing. So yeah, she was bragging and supporting Southside businesses. Yeah, well, I read that. So anyway, I'm sorry we can't get the sound on that because it's a really good video and we'll make sure everybody gets it. You know, it's just outrageous. It's exactly what we're saying. Southside businesses get all the support. She's out there, you know, totally adoring this place. She's saying, I'm going to bring my girlfriends here for brunch. This is fabulous. Come to Uhuru Bakery Cafe.
Yeah.
But of course it's not open yet. Uhuru, so that was my portion, and then Sayali.
All right, well, in 1974, the Team 4 plan outlined what became known as the Let It Rot policy. The city puts all investment and development into the South Side, as we've been seeing. They intentionally create the conditions to force African people out of our neighborhoods on the North Side. And today, all around the world, St. Louis is known for the stark division between its wealthy white South Side and the imposed destitution on the predominantly African North Side, known as the Del Mar Divide. And if you read that, it says in the community where 70% of the lots are vacant or are derelict buildings, known as the food desert, Terry Rose denies African people the right to eat and have any ability to feed, clothe, and house ourselves. Next slide. So as part of the fight back, APDF held a powerful press conference on November 12th. And then President Ona Zane, Chairman O'Malley, Karen Greer, Tamika Steigers, African People Solidarity Committee Chairwoman Penny, Uhuru Solidarity Movement Chair Jesse Neville, Sophia from Universal African Peoples Organization, Sophia. Sorry about that. Sophia, yeah. Uhuru Foods and Pies reps Maureen and Allie were also at the press conference. And here's what our young AEPDF intern, Javen Calvin, had to say. Please play your video.
All right, so I'm Javen. I was born in 2002. I'm now 22 years old. Over 22 years, I only seen the conditions for our people get worse. When I was little, a lot of stuff used to be in walking distance, but now you gotta drive 15 to 20 minutes away to go to a grocery store. I seen neighborhoods where you would build a Popeyes or a beauty supply instead of an urgent care. To Sarah Jones and the aldermen, all the people in the city of St. Louis, why are y'all okay with just letting the city rot? You see beautiful places, beautiful houses like around Forest Park, all that area, and then you get right here, and it looked like they had the Battle of Ukraine over here. It's burnt buildings, abandoned buildings, nothing for people here. I got cousins from Kentucky. They gotta come through this part of the city to get to where I live. They over here having suspicions because they don't even trust the way it looked, because it looked like a wasteland. They can't even believe this the gateway city. How's this what is it the gateway to? Death? Because we all dying. We can't even do nothing. People in St. Louis, they don't talk about it, but they find dead bodies on the street all the time. Some of these dead bodies are not from gunshot wounds, and they was not murdered, or they was murdered by the city because the lack of resources that they give them make sense. Bashar, you always on Instagram talking about how you doing everything for black people, but every time I see black people, I don't see nothing getting done for me. Really, y'all in a position of power, and y'all choose to not use the power. It's really not that serious to just help someone. When you help more people, the more a community can grow and you get more. There's no need to be selfish. There's nothing in any circumstances that's wrong with opening a bakery in a community where you gotta walk, if you don't got a car, 30 minutes to get some food. I'm just saying.
Right. He's 22, yes. Next slide. So the media is blocking Uhuru too. And the day after the press conference, Jacob Barker published a sensationalist article in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch that didn't even address the just cause of APDF and the African businesses. He united with the attacks on the Uhuru movement and only wanted to talk about the bogus charges against Uhuru 3. So please play this video.
I often cover both politics and business at the Post-Dispatch, and we remain very focused on our public service mission of holding people in power accountable and also amplifying the voices of people without power and making sure that their issues are heard by decision makers in our community, so that positive change can be made for the most vulnerable people in our community.
Reporter Jacob Barker of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch uses yellow journalism to slander a black nonprofit organization named the African People's Education and Defense Fund. APDF has built a community basketball court, housing for men and women coming out of the prison system, a community garden, a farmer's market, and its latest program is a bakery cafe, in which Jacob Barker attended a press conference on November 12, 2024, and once again used slander and committed libel by not reporting on what truly happened in the press conference. Barker did no real investigation, but instead continues, like all of his articles, to report on something that has nothing to do with the great work that APDF has built from the ground up to solve the basic needs to feed, clothe, and house the most impoverished sector of the Northside community in St. Louis. Jacob Barker is a liar. He continues to slander the black community through these attacks, but not attacking city officials like the mayor, Sandy Long, Mary Hart Burton, Richard Bradley, and of course Terry Rose, who
are preventing our permit from being approved because they state that we need a letter from the neighborhood association. This is giving them the power to determine the future of all businesses to operate. Jacob Barker and the St. Louis Post-Dispatch claims in his video that they want the voice of the underserved to be heard. Another lie. We are asking everyone to call the St. Louis Post-Dispatch today at 314-340-8128 to demand that a retraction be written and that Jacob Barker be called to report real news, not yellow journalism. Call the mayor's office at 314-622-3201 or email her at mayor@stlouis-mo.gov. We say no more. The discrimination must end. Uhuru.
Right. Next slide. So APEDF demands the immediate reversal of the denial of the conditional use permit and into the discriminatory practices by the zoning section and into the denial of due process by the president of the Board of Public Service and justice from the zoning department for violations of its own standards for approval of permits as enumerated in the zoning code of ordinances. Next slide. Okay, so now we want people to sign up. If I can get somebody to pass this around the audience, we want people to sign up for one, to make phone calls, and we'll provide a script and training, and you can do 1 to 2 hours at a time. And then you can knock on doors this coming week, where we'll go out in pairs with a petition. We'll have a map of College Hill, and we want to talk to everyone there. And you can do 1 to 2 hours at a time, and we can go out on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday during the week. Tuesdays and Friday mornings from 10 to noon, Wednesdays and Thursdays afternoons from 2 to 4 p.m. So again, we want to go to every house in College Hill to win people to come to the community meeting and be at the appeal. And there's going to be a lot of empty lots in College Hill. Will just really give you an opportunity to see the devastation that the city has continued to impose upon the Black community. And I want to get a show of hands of who can go out and knock on doors in this community. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I see 7, 8 people. Right on. Yeah, keep your hands up so that sign up sheet can go get to you. And that way we can be in contact with you. I will be in contact with you so that we can go ahead and get out here and bring the community in. And I'm saying this because we want people to come out to a special meeting that we're going to have on January 21st. And also for people to participate in the February 12th appeals hearing that we're going to be having around the Bakery Cafe. Again, we're going to have maps. We got the sign-up sheets, and we're going to have leaflets that's going to be promoting the January 21st meeting. So again, sign the clipboard, and I will be in contact with everyone so we can get out here and get with the people again. And next slide. And APDF is quite aware that this issue is bigger than APDF and the Uhuru Bakery Cafe, and the city should be providing help and support to small businesses, not putting up roadblocks, red tape, and denials. They use the terms precedents and internal policies as a cover to deny and block north side businesses from development. And the SLDC scandal of the COVID grant money is clear evidence of the city's policy to block north side businesses. And the aggressive let it rock policy is gentrifying our communities, pushing African people out and selling the African community off to developers at huge profit for the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, or the NGA, the biggest spy station in the US. Next slide. And who's going to be here at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, January 21st? Raise your hand. I'm raising both of mine.
What's it for?
And it's going to be to plan for the appeal and to do more organizing in the neighborhood and bring everybody with you, family members, friends, co-workers, neighbors. Bring everybody because we have to take this fight to the city in a serious way. We can't let the city get away with what they do to the African community and have done for years and years and years. And next slide. We want everybody to show their support at the February 12th appeal. That's going to be happening at 1:30 p.m. And this is going to, we want everybody to sign up for this and so that we can know that you're attending. So again, we want you to write a letter of support to the Board of Adjustment for Uhuru Bakery and Cafe. And we're going to be getting an attorney for the appeal. And then we want everybody to attend the Board of Adjustment meeting in person or on Zoom. And we will continue to update you with information on how we can make this happen. And next slide. Just want to say we've kept our promise to this community and we baked pies for the holiday. And if you missed them, please try our pies today and look for more pies during African History Month. We're going to have, we got pies in the back there. We're going to hand out some slices and we are winning. And we will be opening a Uhuru Bakery Cafe soon. Yes.
All right. So let's give another round of applause for our great team up here. And their presentation, because you know they did a dynamic job working on their presentation to enlighten us what's going on in the St. Louis area. And let's also give it to owner Yashatella for the great work she's doing in leading this team. Uhuru. But right now, we're gonna go into another spot of the agenda, and we're gonna call off Conrad Fofi up to the mic once I get it situated. Fight back! Fight back!
Not doing this right. Thank you. And for those of you that don't know me, my name is 4 feet, not 4, 4. Because I hear poetry with 2 feet on earth and 2 feet in spirit that bring it to the mic 4 feet deep. And I'm a proud member of the Uhuru movement. Now it is your turn where you can become a, for you to become a fighter, for you to become a member of this team, the Fight Back team. And we'll do it 2 ways. Our goal today, our resource goal is $200. And this $200 stays in the neighborhood. It's how you get the flyers that you get, how we let the community know what's going on. It's how we make the voice of the people known. By writing, by flyers, by having these meetings and letting the community know what's going on and how they can get involved to participate and have a voice of their own. The ways you can donate is by Cash App, $ Impedum, or you can go to impedum.org/donate. Like I said, these resources stay right here in the community. I don't know what to say. I'm just not happy with my home city. I'm not happy with how we are being treated when we step up to make a voice. How many people are members graduated from Sumner High School? All right, Fighting Bulldogs. And back in the day, and I can say back in the day, Sumner High School always was fighting for something for the North Side. We had some prestigious people that went there and graduated and went on to have wonderful lives, but yet we had to really fight to keep the school open, which is a historical monument. Now, what am I saying that for? because back then we were fighting and right now we're fighting. But now we've got a chance to have a voice. We've got a chance to make a footprint, a footstep, and let people know, I don't want this for my children. I don't want this for my grandchildren. My kids are on the East Coast and the West Coast because they didn't have a future here in the city where their mother went to school, where their grandmother grew up. That is not acceptable. It is not acceptable. And the resources we have here today is a way to put it out there and say, look, this is what we have. Because if we continue to let our children run away, because that's what they're going to do, we need to bring them home. And we need to bring them home so they'll be safe. The other way you can become a member and become a fighter is to become a member of the International People Democratic Uhuru Movement. This is the portion of the Uhuru Movement that meets people wherever they are. You can be a CEO, you can be the maintenance person, or you can be out front of that building hustling, trying to make a piece of bread for yourself. We will bring you to education for a political standpoint that you do not and will not get in the school system. And if you don't know where you spend your money is a political statement, whether it's on the South Side or if it's right here in the city, North Side city, in our neighborhoods. More money goes out than come in. And when it does come in, it stays for a hot minute. So the International Democratic Uhuru Movement is where you get your start. First step. And you can have a voice. And you can have ideas. And you got a whole organization as your PowerPoint. Okay? Not a finger, but a fist. What I will do next is let Comrade Westbrook come up, and I'll come back with you to see if we made our goal, either online or in person. Uhuru.
Uhuru. I'm finna come up to do an announcement, but before I do an announcement, I was gonna read a brief statement to tag off with a Comrade Fofi just spoke on. The democratic rights that Black people fought for are under attack. Reparations and freedom of speech. Would you stand for freedom? Your grandkids ask you in that time, what was you doing? What would be your response? Join the International People Democratic Uhuru Movement. That should be your response. Today announcements, just got a couple. The Burning Spirit today. Order it and get enlightened on the things that's happening within our community. The Burning Spirit at theburningspirit.com. I'm sorry, I'm reading things that's not there. The Burning Spirit. Order today. The Burning Spirit.store or subscribe at theburningspirit.com/subscribe. We need you to help build this Health Sunday rally. We need you to help us grow bigger and better. Join a team of outreach, security, food, AV, and more. Bring your skills or get training to help us build. But most importantly, bring yourself. And before we close and go to Kurmu, I want to bring Fofi back up to tell us our. Well, I'm sorry. When you bring Q&A, then we're gonna go to eat. Thank you.
Okay, comrades, I know you got questions. I know you want answers. And if you want everybody, and if one question by one person, somebody else probably wanting the same thing. We want you to come right up here to the mic and we will get your answers to your questions. Anybody got questions? Or comments?
Good afternoon, everyone. I really don't need the mic, but can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Prince Carter. I first and foremost want to say thank you to this organization. I came into this neighborhood back in 1970, and I watched you guys when you first got here. And the love and respect that you showed for my friend here at Brooks. Yeah. Brooks was a special kind of guy. You had to know him. You had to get to know him to know him. But when you guys come, you didn't try to shove him out because you guys got this building and he had this little lot, and you all worked with him. You didn't pressure him, and to me that was love and respect. And I sat and I've watched your growth in this neighborhood. And the problem that I see that you guys are having is that you're making a lot of politicians look bad. The things that you've contributed to this neighborhood over the last 10 years is greater than what they've done in the last 50.
Yeah.
7 years.
So it's only been 7 years? Okay, I thought it was at least 10.
No.
But that's the problem that they have with this group. And I'm ashamed that I've been here, and Brooks told me several times, you ought to get to know him, go over there and I'm like, Brooks, I said, I'm tired of going to meeting, I'm meeting, I'm tired, I want action. And so I have to commend you guys. And the reason I'm here today is because I'm ticked off that you can't open a bank. I'm a small entrepreneur myself. I've been shut down and knocked down by the city 15 times or better over the last 15 years. And I want to find what I can do to aid and assist you guys, not only getting the bakery open, but after hearing you guys today, I want to find a way to use some of the skills and talents that my father has given me to help further what you're doing, because what you're doing is really commendable. And I just wanted to, that's all I had to say is I wanted to let you guys know that your work is not unnoticed. And I pray that you continue to grow and continue to do the things that you've been doing, because it's much needed for our people in our community as a whole. And if we can't have a bakery, what can we have?
Thank you.
I'm under attack by the city too. I got a small business, King Prince Barbecue on Union. I used to be right across the street from here. Back in 2010, I was right across the street in that building there. But I've been fighting with the city, of course, with the ARPA funds and all that. And I qualify all points and, show you the type of games they play. They called me on the 13th of December on a Friday. They emailed me at 3:30 and said that I needed to respond by 5:30 the same day so that they could come out Monday for a site visit, which they've already done all this stuff. They know I exist, but those are the type of games that they're playing. And I'm saying a bakery, I know for 20, 30 years, it was a Chinese restaurant right there in the same building. Why can't they have a bakery? And then I've heard some stories. That's why I want to get a copy of your mission statement and all that too. But I said in the beginning, that's no way the hell would Russia want. Smartest guy in the world, but I mean, what concern would Russia have with poor black folks in North St. Louis? I couldn't put it together. Yeah, and this is crazy, but that bakery needs to be open, and anything else positive and productive that you guys want to bring to the neighborhood should be welcome. And so I'm going to commit to finding a way. I don't know what, how much time it's going to require, but there's something I can do here and there to further the cause. And I definitely want to testify at that appeal that you guys have for the bakery, because there's no reason that bakery should be open.
Uhuru. We don't work for Russia. We work for Black people. All right. Anybody want to become a member of the International People Democratic Uhuru Movement? Just raise your hand and I will. All right, I'll be with you. All right. Yeah, any more questions or comments? Come on up.
Hello, everyone. My name is Valerie Henson.
Hi.
And I just want to say, this organization, from what I've seen, I would say, I've seen the name and everything for few years now, maybe 3 or 4 years. I grew up in this community. I live right here on Alice.
Right.
Came to this neighborhood in 1966.
Right.
And this was a thriving.
Yes. Yes.
Everything, you didn't have to even go to Grand for anything.
Yeah.
Stores, paint stores.
Yeah.
Furniture stores,
Yeah.
cleaners, bars,
Yeah.
liquor stores.
Yeah.
And I'm just proud because I've always loved the city. I refuse to move into town.
Right on.
I thought about it several times, but I love the city of St. Louis. And I love the north side regardless of what they say about it. I had opportunity, I was a manager at one time. And I always worked in South St. Louis, and my last promotion was coming to North St. Louis, and a few people called me up that I knew. And they said, why would you want to do that? And I said, because I love my people.
Right on.
Yeah.
I love my people. I can personally, now I've met some good, Caucasian people. I had worked with some good people. But I said, I know my people.
Right on.
I can deal with them down
Right
to the
on.
core.
Right
I don't care what you say.
Right
I
on.
love my people
Right.
and I'm gonna stand for my people. So I'm just saying that to all of you, organizers from top to bottom, I just salute you and I thank you for all that you're doing in this community.
Yeah.
Because my family lived over here on, Alice for 3 years, then we moved on Harris. And the house is still there. My parents are gone now, but the house we still have on Harris, on East Harris. And, we're gonna keep it. Because I've seen the surveyors come in, I've seen, they're over here all the time and it just gripes my tail. But I'm just so happy to see this in my lifetime. Like I said, I was 9 years old and now I'm not old. Just thank you for all.
Uhuru.
I just wanted to comment on what the sister here just said. One of the things that struck me when I first came to St. Louis, I often heard African people ourselves talk bad about St. Louis and north side of St. Louis and what have you. But the thing that blows my mind, I love Black people in St. Louis. I'm telling you, it's the closest thing I've ever seen to Africa. And when I'm in Africa, I couldn't understand Africa for a long time. I was an old man when I first went to Africa. But the thing that struck me was, it was like everybody was a relative. Whether I could speak the language or not, everybody was like a relative. And coming to St. Louis, whether I'm going to Target, where I'm at Walmart, or wherever I'm encountering Black people who were often the ones who were running things, at least superficially, it was like they knew me, like they were relatives. It was like Africa, and I appreciated that so very much, and I still appreciate it. Because Black people are good. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
I mean, if we were not good, then all those white people that we've been taking care of since we've been here wouldn't even be alive today. And Black people, with all the stuff that's happened to us as a people. And so I appreciate that. I love Black people too, sister. And I appreciate, that observation that you just made. It's the best thing in the world to be here, to be in St. Louis, to be engaged in the struggle. We're going to have to fight.
Yeah.
I have been to something like 16, 17 different countries all around the world. And I was in Russia, which is one of the reasons they say this stuff about Russia. But I was in Spain, I was in Ireland, I was in Curacao, I was in Jamaica, I was just all over. But then I was in England and France and Germany and Belgium, all those places for the one reason. And that was to win friends for Black people. Because we were isolated. We didn't have no friends. They attack us, and nobody in the world even understood what was happening to us. So I'm traveling the world to win support, to win friends for Black people here. And that's why the white people in this room are in this room. Because I was determined to end the isolation of Black people, that we don't exist unless somebody white says this is what our reality is. So we speak for ourselves, and this is the problem that they have. They wish I worked for Russia. They wish I were working for Russia and stopped working for Black people, right? They would prefer me to work for Russia. But I work for my people. The oppression, exploitation that we've experienced, and I know about it, you see. So I appreciate your observation, sister. And I love being here and saying the thing I used to really love about St. Louis. When I first came to St. Louis, just 7 years, 8 years ago, if you didn't want to see no white people, you didn't have to see no white people. Anyway, sis, you could be in St. Louis and not see any white people unless a policeman showed up or something. You know, it was the exception. Ain't that right?
Yeah.
And so I've been in places like in Africa like that. I've been, you know, that's a different feeling. So I just appreciate it so much, and I appreciate this whole issue that we have to fight for. The right to feed, clothe, and house ourselves. Right. Because whoever feed, clothe, and house you, they rule you, they govern you. If you can't do it for yourself, whoever does it for you is the one who's in charge of your life and your future. And whether your children will have a future, it's up to us. And this is the kind of work that guarantees that future, which is why you've been reading in the Post-Dispatch something about Russia. Why the hell can Russia teach us anything about being oppressed? I mean, as much practice as we got being oppressed here in this country. And I just want to say this. I don't know any Black people with Russian last names. And that's worth thinking about, isn't it? Because the last names we got came from somebody who owned us. It was not Russia. Russians didn't own Black people. Russia didn't colonize Black people. Those are the other white people who did that kind of stuff. So anyway, thank you so much. Great program.
This has been up. Come on up. Come on up. Yeah.
My name is Tamika Siders. I am so glad that I am here. Just in your presence, energy. Yes, I'm going to be joining. I've been watching. You gotta watch because you don't know.
No.
But I mean, I would love to. I'm gonna join y'all because this sister right here. She's true. She's true. And man, the vision that I see for this community, for North St. Louis, because of the energy that we have together, the changes are coming. It's coming. Because I know I ain't tired, even though I feel like I'm always tired, but I ain't tired. Because the work is still here and the fight is still here. So I'm excited and I'm already calculating like, okay, how I'm gonna get these people to say they finna come on and then we go, because the work is already like the blueprint is here. So we don't gotta reinvent the wheel. We don't have to have a group over here doing this over there. Oh, coming together, many hands make light work. And so glory over here. Oh my goodness. Girl, like so yeah, I'm so excited. And I've been thinking about the different things that I could bring to the table in pushing this agenda of Black folks working and being self-determined and working for ourselves. So I'm excited. I don't have no questions, but yeah, that's what I want to bring.
All right. Anybody else? Okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I want to say that our goal was 200. We raised $235. And we got one member. Now, I want to tell you, we've got chili today, comrades, for the Caramoo. And I want to invite each and every one of you to keep stopping. And we have the famous Uhuru pies. I want to tell you that next week, we will be having spaghetti. And if you want to bring your favorite dish that your family talk about is, you know, put your foot in, I'm inviting you to bring your dish. Bring it. We want to see what you got and tell you that good job, okay? Just see me for the caramel. Thank you. And I'm going to turn this over to Comrade Westbrook. And I want to say, Uhuru! 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 We are winning.
Yeah, we had one more announcement just came through. It's a reminder of the Heart and Soul event. If you look up to the screen, it shows you a little bit about it. It's a free event. It's gonna be having music, refreshment, and more. To reserve, RSVP tinyurl.com/Uhuru into you. It's Saturday, January 18th at this beautiful space, 4101 West Florissant. Come on through and have a great time. Uhuru. Hey, y'all know what time it is? It's time to eat. It's caramel time. We appreciate you, and we see you again next week, right? Uhuru. Uhuru. So if we can make our way back towards there, and I'll start